Welcome one, welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course hearing about how awesome road trips are in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome everybody to episode 314 of the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. And today, sitting beside me, I'm Jimmy Jett, by the way. Sitting beside me is not Toyota Tyler. We have the famous, the one and only, the assistant.
Yay, I'm on the pie episode, huh?
You're on, yeah. Nice, yeah. So we have some whiskey in front of us today. We just got home after a eight hour road trip.
Yeah.
Back from Bend, Oregon, where we were at Overland Expo PNW.
Yep, that's right.
And I thought we could spend a little time talking about our trip there.
Okay.
And a little bit of time talking about our adventures walking around Expo.
Mm-hmm.
And then, let's see, and then I did get an interview with somebody out at Expo, a special somebody with a cool product. Just one interview because I spent a lot of time networking instead of actually recording podcasts. And then I think at some point we're going to drag the mini assistant on here to talk about the kids' advice or kids' thoughts of Overland Expo PNW. Does that sound like a good plan?
Sounds like a plan.
Cool. So let's see. Where should we start?
With what's in front of us?
Is that where you want to start?
That's where I want to start.
Okay. I was going to start with a little housekeeping.
Oh,
but if you want to start drinking, that's fine.
I want to start drinking.
Okay, go ahead.
You want this to be an entertaining podcast?
Well, why don't you do a sampling, and while you're doing the sampling, I will do my little housekeeping spiel. So let's see. We're not going to do any of the FNGs, the anniversary for Patreon or / irate 4x4, or the winners for the toolbox / what is it, the EVA foam trays, or the EVA foam trays for the winners that were on Instagram. We'll do all those possibly on Thursday, probably the following week. We just have so much going on and we're split up. But I think Tyler and I are going to do a remote interview for Thursday, since little future casting here. I will be down in Carmel, and Tyler will be coming home from his trip. So we're trying to get this done. We're trying to get everything out for you guys. We're working overtime. You know, it's what is it, like 9:40 right now after driving 8 hours? Yeah. Now I'm looking at the assistant, watching her face after trying this whiskey. And
it's very whiskey.
It is very whiskey. So what do we have in front of us?
Well, there's one I definitely like more than other. We have some Basil Hayden here. I was trying to find Basil Hayden Classic so I could do like a flight. We have Basil Hayden Toast, which I've had before. It is charred oak barrels impart a unique flavor to this Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then we have Subtle Smoke, which I disagree with that name. That's for sure. Finished in hickory smoked, new charred oak barrels, special release, delicate, okay. Campfire notes that elevate the maple sweetness in soft char. Yeah.
So we have, what is it?
Subtle
smoke and toasted.
Yeah.
And do you agree with those descriptions?
Of the toast, yes. The subtle smoke, that is anything but subtle.
Right. I agree. I agree with you.
Subtle.
It is not subtle. It is smoke forward.
It
is very
smoky
strong.
as hell.
Yeah. And I almost think that the names should be switched. I don't think that one's... I think subtle smoke is almost more toasted.
Yeah. And it's not subtle.
No,
but maybe if you like Scotch, you would like that. But I'm not a huge Scotch person, and it doesn't have that it's just straight up smoke. It doesn't have the peatiness to kind of mellow out the smoke and give it complexity. It's just straight up tastes like you threw a log from the campfire into a bucket of whiskey and dumped it into this bottle. Which is disappointing because I love Basil Hayden.
I think this is the first Basil Hayden you actually have disliked.
Oh, yeah. The one that was the rye finished in rum barrels. If you ever find that one, snap that up. That's delicious. Regular Basil Hayden, delicious. The toast is not my favorite, but it's still good. Subtle smoke. That's a hard no for me.
Yeah, I think the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey has said it fantastic that the original Basil Hayden is the Sauvignon Blanc of entry into whiskey. It's just an easy drinking whiskey that if you're not interested in, or you haven't really had an open palate for whiskey, the basic Basil Hayden is a good entry.
I agree with that. It was one of my very first favorite whiskeys. And now since I've been with you, I've definitely tried, I don't know, 50 more whiskeys.
Yeah, at least.
At least.
But and then every Basil Hayden we've tried up until maybe today, we've liked.
Yeah.
This one, I actually do kind of like it. I think actually when it waters down,
when it waters down,
we'll try it a little bit later. But
holy smokes,
it is definitely smoke forward. So if you're a smoke forward fan of a whiskey, I think the Basil Hayden's a good choice.
Yeah.
You disagree?
I disagree. I mean, if you're real into smoke.
Yeah, it's very smoke forward.
Yeah.
You know, though, I think it would make a good old fashioned.
Maybe.
Because of the smoke.
Yeah.
Like the one we had up in
Aji. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would make an excellent old fashioned.
I mean, we got this.
It's worth a try.
We got the stuff.
We're not going to do it now.
All right, but anyways, yeah, we might try to redeem this bottle because otherwise, I ain't touching it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'll touch it. That's for sure. But let's see here. So now that we've tasted the whiskeys and we're going to continue to drink them, and I'll have the smoked one and you'll have the toasted. Yeah. And we can toast. You want to toast?
Let's toast. Hey, toast to leg one of our summer road trip adventure.
Yeah.
We did it.
We came, we conquered, and then and now we leave tomorrow.
Yep, and now we leave tomorrow.
So let's talk about our road trip adventure. Over the last few days, for the last 5 days.
Yeah, we left on 4th of July.
Yeah, we've been on the road. So we drove out on 4th of July. We left fairly early on the 4th of July.
We got in a good old fashioned Main Street 4th of July parade.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we went down into downtown Roseville and we watched the Main Street parade
and saw Wild Bill's boat car.
Yeah. Wild Bill came by with an amphibious car squirting water at everybody. Always
a classic.
Yeah, he has some cool cars.
He does have some cool cars. And we actually met him one time randomly
out on
in Bodega Bay.
Yeah. It was
waiting in line for to check into a hotel, and the guy had a Wild Bill sweatshirt. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're from Roseville. We drive by that place all the time. He's like, well, I'm Wild Bill. So.
Yeah, I'm him. And we're like, cool. And the guy didn't have very many visible tattoos.
No, it was cold though.
Yeah, so he had a big old sweater and jeans on. So I don't know, but
no face tattoos.
Nope.
Probably a good life choice there.
Probably.
Yeah.
So what other floats do you remember?
The axe throwing.
Right? That's
you know those axe throwing parlor places that you go to? They had a cage and they had a guy dressed like Uncle Sam and they're towing this cage down Main Street and he's just in there, throwing axes and jumping on the sides of the cage and getting people riled up. And that's one of the most unique parade floats I've ever seen. I've never seen live axe throwing in a parade.
No, I haven't.
Very unique.
And then there was a lot of other, the Boy Scouts, there was the Girl Scouts, there was a dance crowd, there was a live band, marching band, there was all the normal stuff, candy being thrown, gift certificates for roller skating getting handed out. There was all the normal parade stuff happening. And
I just love a parade, so.
You do.
I do.
And I just learned that.
Yeah.
So I think many more parades, I guess, are in my future.
They've been canceled lately, so
I know, it's been nice.
No, it hasn't. So we started with that. We came home. We threw the rest of the stuff in the rig.
In Charlotte.
Yep. And then off we went, headed up north.
Yep.
And we stopped at a place that I want to go back to and go camping.
Did we stop for lunch on the way up? Oh yeah, we hit Taco Bell.
Yeah, nothing to write home about there.
Marysville or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went to Castle Crags State Park.
Yeah, which was a really cool spot. I've never been there.
And I've been there once before, just kind of randomly, like 4 or 5 years ago. Just stop. There's a really cool vista, and on a clear day, you can see the Castle Crags. And it's called Castle Crags, I guess, because they just it's these huge rock formation that sticks out of the earth, kind of like a castle-ish.
Yeah, it looks like castle walls. It's like granite protrusions, or I don't know. I guess protrusions are kind of explaining it. It could be like massive amounts of erosion from the mountain has exposed the granite cliff sides, right?
Yeah, just huge, impressive granite cliffs. So if you look one way, you see that. If you look another way, I don't know, maybe 100 degrees off to the side, and it's clear, you get a really nice view of Mount Shasta.
Yeah, and if you turn maybe 180 from Mount Shasta and you look directly behind you, there's another crags farther back in the distance.
Mm-hmm. So it's a really cool vista point. It's easy, like if you have a kid with you, like we did, it's like, I don't know, 0.4 mile if.
Maybe a 1 mile round trip.
If.
Yeah.
And that's a big if. I don't even think
like
it's that
100
much.
feet of elevation gain or something.
Really easy, stroller, wheelchair friendly, easy to this little vista. Bring your own binoculars, or they have the kind of funky, what are those, telescope things there that you can use. And they have a little picnic area up there. Mm-hmm. So that was fun. We ended up meeting up with my dad and my stepmom. So they came and we looked at the vista, and then the ranger told us about another hike that would be kid friendly. But even before we got up there, just winding our way through the park a little bit to get to the vista, we went through the campgrounds, and I was kind of impressed that on holiday 4th of July weekend that this campground was like maybe half full.
Yeah.
Not even.
At least when we got there on 4th of July.
On 4th of July, which maybe people bailed out that morning, or I don't know, but I was surprised.
And it was you're right in the woods, redwoods. The campgrounds are really nice. Most of the parking is fairly flat. There was a few that had some angled parking. So if you had the rooftop tent like we had, it would have been a little bit different. Or like build a platform to get level, because they're pretty steep. I thought you were going to talk about what we saw on the way up.
And also on the way up.
Yeah, out of the campgrounds, it gets to, you're in a 2-lane road on the campgrounds, but then once you get out of the campgrounds, as you're going up to the Vista Point, it turns to a 1-lane road.
Mm-hmm. And we saw a bear.
We did.
Yeah.
I don't know, a big juvenile or an adult, or a small adult, maybe.
Small adult.
Black bear that was all brown.
Mm-hmm. A brown black bear.
Yeah. Yeah. Just sitting by the side of the road for a little bit. And then as we got a little closer, it started walking up the hill a little bit and would stop and turn and look at us as we were going up there. And we got to show the mini assistant a bear, and bear walking in the woods. So that was pretty fun.
Yeah. That was nice.
We went around the corner, and then a ranger worker guy was coming down in like a John Deere. And I told him, and he's like, "Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for letting me know. I'll make sure to tell the campground that there's a bear nearby." So we did that, and then we did the hike.
Yeah, we did the Vista, and then we did the hike, which is...
remember what the name of that other hike was?
Root Creek.
Root Creek, good job.
Yeah, Root Creek. And it was 1 mile in and 1 mile back. Very easy trail.
Yeah, that one had like a 40-foot gain.
Yeah.
And the whole trail was wide enough for a...
stroller.
A stroller
or... a very adventurous wheelchair.
Yes. It actually had a handicap, accessible sign on it.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be handicap accessible. Do you want to push Grandma 1 mile in her wheelchair over some bumpy terrain? Probably not. No. But it was a really nice, easy trail with lots of pretty things to see along the way. And then at the end is the payoff is Root Creek. And you pass over a couple little small, dry-ish or trickles, and you're like, is this it? Is this it? And no, just hold out. You'll know when you're there. And the end is just this really lovely creek with little waterfalls and beautiful plant life all around it. And it was just absolutely gorgeous little payoff at the end.
Yeah. And during that hike, we walked on a pretty iconic trail.
Yeah. So yes, we have been on the PCT.
We have hiked the PCT.
We hiked it for like a couple 100 feet.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it was kind of fun because it intersects it and you run into people that have been hiking for months or, or
days. Who knows?
So we ran into a few people and said hi. And
on the way in, there was 3 people hiking, and they said they've been hiking for 2 months.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And they had come from Mexico. Yeah.
And they were there. And then on the way out, after looking at the creek and hanging out with these ginormous leafed plants, like an elephant leaf, or I can't remember. Where's Marlene, the plant lady? I don't know.
Right.
But these huge leaf plants in this little creek running through, and it was a weird ecosystem right there in the middle of the redwoods. It was this really cool area. Literally, the temperature was lower where we were, and it was just a gorgeous little creek. So on the way back, are you Google Lensing it right now?
I'm Google Lensing it.
Okay, let's see what it is.
It is hard to say. A shield leaf Rodgersia.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
I tell Tyler if he goes over it, tries to say it a second time, then he just screwed it up.
We'll call it a shield leaf.
Cool. A shield leaf. It's a giant, we cut one off and we put it on the mini assistant's head as a hat. They're big enough to do that, which is pretty funny. But on the way home, or on the way back, hiking back down the trail, we ran into another guy. Do you remember his name?
Oh, Ghost.
Ghost.
He had a trail name. That's
I guess
right.
everybody on the trail, when you're hiking the trail, you get trail names. You don't really tell people your real name. Everybody assigns you or gives you this fictitious name that they know you by.
And he's always up and out in the morning and makes no noise. And so he got the trail name of Ghost.
Yeah. And he had hiked, I guess, the PCT somewhere like 2,600 miles.
Yeah. And he was just basically finishing up a section of it that he was not able to complete before.
Exactly. So he did 2,000 miles last year, and the fires didn't let him do roughly 600 miles.
Yeah. And so he was wrapping that section that he was not able to do up.
That day.
Yeah. We were his last little leg, and he was just going up to Dunsmuir, and then he was going to stay in a hotel, and then
he's flying out already.
Flying out the next day. Yeah.
So he had 4 more miles to go to finish his PCT experience.
Yeah. And that guy could pack.
Tell me about it.
He had a very small amount of gear, even compared to the other 3 people that we saw. He had half the amount of stuff.
He also is older, so he said that the older you get, the less you have to pack, so it's easier on your joints.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
So we got back after that. I think we had a soda water or seltzer water or something.
Yeah, and then we went to pizza.
Oh, yeah. We went to Say Cheese.
Say Cheese.
In
Shasta. I was trying to
remember.
Yeah. Excellent pizza. Total 80s pizza. It's the pizza parlor of your youth.
Yeah.
Wood paneled walls with sports memorabilia. There's a little arcade.
They had, on the sports memorabilia wall, they had, and I don't know if they were true signatures, but they had Steve Young, if you're a 49ers fan. They had Steve Young with a signature. They had Joe Montana with a signature. They had Jerry Rice with a signature. And then they had Joe DiMaggio with a signature. They had Michael Jordan with a signature. They had Larry Bird with a signature. That I was just looking at this wall. I'm like, holy cow. They got I didn't go very far down the wall, but where we were sitting, everybody was a high name sports athlete and they had their signatures, which was pretty rad.
Yeah. So that was a fun place. Had some really good pizza. So if you ever go through Shasta, go to Say Cheese. They had some ice cream as well. I'm not trying that yet.
Try it.
Jimmy's trying to give me the subtle smoke.
It's watered down. I think don't take a big sip. Still no?
Okay, it doesn't make me cough anymore.
Yeah.
I still don't like it.
All right, my bottle. Sweet. I need to find more of these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because then you won't drink it. So then it's all mine.
Because we need more bottles of whiskey.
I need bottles that you won't touch. That's what I need.
Oh, Lord. So then from there, we wanted to go check out the McLeod Falls trifecta. I have a family in that area, and so as a kid, I would frequent the falls. Jimmy's never been.
I've been to
No,
the
you
upper
said?
falls? No, middle
Oh.
falls? We tried to go to the falls.
We tried to go to the falls one time, but we did not see
Oh,
the
we
falls.
didn't go?
No,
Okay.
we didn't go. We couldn't even get through the parking lot.
All right.
When 2020 happened and then, like somebody posted on Facebook somewhere about how magical the McLeod Falls were.
It was in a magazine. They
Oh,
posted it, how
okay.
wonderful the McLeod Falls were in some
Yeah.
magazine, Travel or
And
Adventure
so
or something.
freaking everyone and their mom was going to the McLeod Falls. And so I went to go visit family. And normally it's like, yeah, let's go to the falls. And it's like, no, you can't even approach the parking lot. People are parking out on the road. It was ridiculous. So we did not go to the falls.
Right.
that last
we
time.
went farther up
Yeah.
to a secret spot.
Yeah. The secret spot only the locals know, and sat in the river on our camping chairs and stuff.
Right. So this time we went to Lower McLeod Falls.
Yeah, but it was getting late. So I had to pick, which of the three, and I picked the Lower Falls because it's got a lot of things going for it. I mean, all three are great. And if you're in that area, I suggest you do the McLeod Falls. Apparently you can fairly easily hike from one to the other. However, in my entire life, I've never done that, which makes me question how easy it is. Because I feel like
if it was that easy, you would have done it.
we would have done it, or maybe just the locals are like over it or something. I'm like, screw it, let's just drive there. And they're not far apart. Like, I don't know.
No, when you're driving in, there's a turn for one, or there's a turn for two or three.
Yeah, for the other two. It's like lower and middle and upper this way. So like you can drive fairly easily between them. And then, so maybe it's just kind of a pain in the butt to hike all the way down and hike all the way back, or to stick a car somewhere. I don't know. But my family has never in my life literally suggested that we hike the falls, which I thought was kind of funny. But anyways, we hit the Lower Falls. Really cool falls, into a big eroded hole in the ground, basically a large swimming hole situation. People jump off of it. By the time we got there, and it's 4th of July evening, mind you, there was one other minivan there and like two people that we only saw very briefly.
Well,
and
the two
was
people
just
went
us.
to the minivan.
Yeah.
To leave.
Yeah.
So
and
like they
just
parked
us.
there for some reason. Maybe they were hiking the falls.
Maybe they were coming back going, geez, that took longer than we thought.
Maybe.
Let's get out of here. But yeah, it was really cool spot. I have a fond, not so fond childhood memory of being like maybe 10. And my older cousins were jumping off the higher side of the falls. And then me and another younger cousin of mine were there, and, just jump off this side part, which really isn't that far. I don't know. Was it 15 feet down?
I was going to say 6.
Oh, it is not 6 feet down.
Well, let's meet in the middle. 10? 10 plus?
10 plus,
Okay.
maybe 12. Not 6. But it's not, it's funny because I walked over there. I'm like, wow, this is a lot less than I remember it because, in the mind of childhood.
Yeah, you're twice as tall now.
Yeah, that's true. I, jumped off the side as a kid and kind of like panicked last minute and pulled my knees up and just, smacked the back of my legs and my butt, just wham, and just like hurt them so bad. And it was as we were leaving town too. So it was like, last stop, let's go to the falls real quick and splash around and have some fun. And now let's drive 4 hours home on your busted booty. So that's my memory of the McLeod Falls.
But it was Lower Falls.
Of the Lower Falls, yeah. You can definitely swim and play in the water on Middle Falls. Upper Falls is just view only, or if you're real adventurous, you can try to scale it. But it's steep to get down there.
And you attack the Upper Falls on the upper side, you were saying, right? You attack, like you hike down to the Upper Falls, to the top of the Upper Falls, and if you want to try to scale down, then you can get down to the lower section of the Upper Falls.
I guess, yeah. Like you just see crazy people doing it, and I've always looked at that and going like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
Like, no, thank you. Yeah, but it's a cool spot. I highly suggest.
Yeah, it's very pretty, especially when we were there. It was we were there in
twilight hour.
Yeah, twilight hours, like 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we were there late.
So yeah, nobody was there, but we only had time in a way to see one of the falls because of daylight, and also because we wanted to go back to Shasta and catch the fireworks.
Yeah, they were shooting off a fireworks display over Lake Siskiyou, and we could go down and see it down there, but then it was going to take a minute to get up back out of there, and we have an 8-year-old with us and still a 40-minute drive ahead of us. So we ended up just parking in some random like CAL FIRE parking lot or something in it was just Shasta
a dirt lot
City
by the side of the road.
Yeah.
With others, like we drove by it on the way to the falls, and we saw all these people pulling off and parking. And so we talked on the way back. We're like, let's just go there.
Yeah, let's just do that. I mean, I'm sure it's really cool over the water, but it was still pretty cool from our vantage point. And it was a nice little display. It took about, 20 minutes.
Yeah, they did a good job. They had a good fireworks show. We did have trees in our way. And the mini assistant tried to get higher and higher and higher to get above the tree line, but it was like... Yeah,
she was standing on top of the rooftop tent at one point, and it did not improve.
It didn't help her any.
Because I popped up there too. I'm like, oh, well, nope, that tree is still there.
Yep.
But yeah, it was still really cool. And then we... hopped in and headed out to Wairika, where my dad and my stepmom live, and then we stayed the night with them.
Yeah, and now they have a really cool house. It's I want to say it's a 3-story house, even though they claim it's 5 stories.
It's 5 levels, and it's...
I don't get how it's 5 levels.
Okay, well, if you count the basement, it has 5 levels.
No, that's the 3rd level.
Well, I don't know. Places you can stand in the house.
Kitchen, bedroom.
Okay, well, it goes basement, and then there's the playroom level, or that little family room level. And then there's the kitchen / dining room / other family room level. Yeah. And then there's the level that has those bedrooms on it.
Bedrooms. Okay. And
then there's the level with the master bedroom.
Okay, so 4.
Basement, family room, kitchen, bedrooms. Master bedroom, 5.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
It's got 5 levels. It's a 3-story house. It's really a unique design.
Yeah.
And Jimmy has never been there. The kid doesn't remember being there because it's been that long. So I felt bad that it had been that long. And plus, knowing where we were headed, it was a good jumping off point.
Yeah, it was a good layover, right?
Yeah.
And so we got there at like 11 o'clock at night. We went to bed. The next morning, we kind of got a grand tour of the house and the property, which they have like 20 plus 22 acres or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's 22. We definitely did not walk 22 acres, but we saw a good chunk of it.
We met their cats, Tom and Jerry and Mercedes, who like followed us on our walk around the property. Yeah, it's really fun. Which was pretty neat. Grandpa hit some golf balls. We swung on a tire swing, and then it was pretty much time for us to take off. When we left, we ended up going to the UPS station because I had to ship some panels, and then we had to backtrack a little bit, and we blasted out up towards Bend. And on the way, you just get a fantastic view of Mount Shasta for the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes of that drive. And you're on like the north side.
Yeah. And it's a different view than I I grew up going to McLeod and seeing Mount Shasta a lot. And that is, as everyone knows, that's the pretty side of the mountain, as all the people from McLeod and Mount Shasta would say. So Wairika and Weed and our little cut across that we did to get to, what was it, 97?
97,
yeah.
Highway 97.
Gives you a different view of it. It was still very impressive. And it's this whole like kind of high desert ecosystem back there.
Yeah, because Mount Shasta is so tall that it actually has a rain shadow, sort of like the Sierra Nevadas for us, right? You have this lush green forest up into the Sierra Nevadas, and then there's Nevada.
Then you got Nevada,
which is the desert.
And so, it's not quite as extreme as that.
No, definitely not, because it's only one mountain.
Yeah, it's still a very marked difference in a different ecosystem.
Yeah.
And it was a nice drive, and it was, it only took us like 3.5 hours to get from Wairika to Bend.
Yeah. It was a pretty drive. You drive through, you go from like this, like air quotes, high desert scenario out of the shadow of Mount Shasta, up into the mountain forest, and then you come down to Klamath Lakes. What was it called? Klamath?
No.
Falls?
Klamath Falls?
Klamath Falls?
Yeah.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah.
But it's Klamath Lake. It has there's
a
huge lake
I think
there.
the town is called Klamath Falls.
Yeah. But there's a ginormous lake, and you're driving along the side of the lake. It's really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just drive a lot through more forest. But the driving up to Bend and into Bend, there's really some predominant mountains that still have glaciers on them today, it's really gorgeous to see. It was like Mount Bachelor on the lower end. Yeah, the Sisters on the high side, and then there was another one called like Missing Top or something like that. Like
Broken
I
don't
Top.
know. Yeah, we definitely did not know our geography because we're more NorCal people than we are Southern Oregon people. It was really beautiful. It was just, volcanoes to the left of you the whole drive and just beautiful, beautiful views.
Yeah.
And because where the highway's located is relatively flat, it gives you like a very nice, like kind of panoramic view.
Right.
More than when you're driving up to the Sierras where you're more like hedged in on either side and you don't get these grand views the whole time. And the whole time you're driving, you're just looking at all this beautiful mountain views. It was really nice.
Yeah. And then so we drove up to Bend and we met up with a lifelong friend of yours?
Yeah, a childhood friend of mine. Our dads. No, my dad and her mom grew up on the same street.
That's right.
And they were both very large families, and all the kids knew each other and played with each other all the time. And
what was their gang?
Oh, the Solano gang.
Solano gang.
The street they grew up on.
Yeah, they
Solano.
grew up in Solano here in Sacramento.
Yeah.
There was 6 kids in your
my
dad's family.
Yeah.
7 kids in their family.
And a few other quote unquote lesser,
there was a few
3-member
families that had
on
like
the
2
street.
or 3 on it. So can you imagine? There was a street that had like
it's not a very
15,
long street
20
either.
kids
It's
running
not a big
around
street.
reckless.
Yeah. And they were definitely causing some trouble back in the day. But so, our parents were friends before we were born, and then we were born and we're the same age. And so we just kind of grew up together until her and her family moved away when we were 12. And we definitely still stayed in touch. And we'd go visit each other, at least once a year. Our moms made it a point to, fly somebody up or fly somebody down. Back when airfare was, cheap. You could get like a $69 round trip Southwest flight if you timed it right. But you get older, you get a job, and you get kids. It gets a lot harder to do that kind of stuff. So it'd been a while. It'd been like 3 years since I'd seen her, and it's been I don't know, 10, 15 years since we've spent any like long amount of time together. So it was really great to see my friend again and connect. And it was nice that we had our families there too. She's got 2 girls. So her and her husband and 2 girls came down.
And a husband, yeah.
Yeah. And then, and then I have a girl and also a husband. And so it was nice to get all our families together. And we did some urban camping.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, because we've been dating for 4 years, married.
For 1.
Yeah. Well, we've been dating for 3 years, married for 1.
Yeah,
for a total
okay,
of
we've
4
been
years.
together 4 years.
Yeah, been together for 4 years. And I've never met her.
Mm-hmm.
You guys met in like 2019 for a matter of hours, I guess. But I didn't meet her, and we were sort of starting to date then, more seriously, I guess.
Yeah, well, we've been together a year by that point.
Yeah, and you guys were talking about me, but we've never met in person. So it was fun to meet them and get to talk to them and get to know them better. But we stayed at her uncle's house.
Yeah.
Who had like a tiny house in a way.
Yeah, it was just small.
Yeah.
Small bachelor pad.
Maybe 1,000 square feet?
Yeah, maybe.
It had like a kitchen, a living room, sort of a spare bedroom.
Sort of a spare room. It was this kind of weird room.
And then it had a guest bathroom.
Yeah.
That had a bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
And then a master bedroom and then another bathroom.
Yeah, I'm going to say like 1,000 square foot.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there wasn't really room for 2 families to be crashing in the house. So we more or less popped tents in his front yard.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
And we were able to use the kitchen, able to use the bathroom, and then just pretty much slept.
Yeah.
In the tents.
And it was good, too, to get the kids outside because kids are obnoxious. Let's be honest.
So the mini assistants 8,
mm-hmm.
and her 2 kids were
5 and 7.
5 and 7.
So we had 5, 7, and 8, and all 3 of them are very dramatic, I have to say.
Mm-hmm. In various different ways. Though.
But yeah,
but when you get 3 dramatic kids together,
mm-hmm.
all ladies.
Yeah. Somebody was pouting at any given time.
Yes.
For sure.
Definitely. So, So that night when we got up there, we got up kind of late, and I think we made a late dinner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then it was just put the kids to bed, mm-hmm. and...
Well, we hung out still till midnight.
Then we hung out till midnight.
Yeah.
Just sitting around drinking and BS.
Yeah, reconnecting and stuff. And the fellas meeting each other for the first time.
Yeah.
And I've only met her husband, I think. I went to their wedding. And I don't know that I met him before that, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you meet him after?
No.
Like at 19?
Oh.
He
wasn't down. Because a lot of times, like, she would just come down with the kids. Or she'd come down by herself. What the?
OPP?
Other people's property?
I don't know what it means.
Oh, that's what OPP means.
Yeah.
Well, or, you can substitute the P for something else.
I was just doing the song.
Oh.
Because you're down with OPP. Yeah, you know me.
Other people's P word.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't guess not that. I was just singing the song.
Yeah. So that was nice. And then the next day.
I never knew what that meant. That's funny.
Man.
Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
We'll cut that out.
Uh-huh. Okay. So yeah, the next day we went to this resort town that is nearby Bend called Sun River. And the last time I'd been to Sun River, I was, still a teenager. Whether I was under 18 or above 18, I don't exactly remember, but I was definitely young. And Sun River is cool. Give it a few more 1,000 years and they'll have a nice oxbow lake going there because the river is going to eventually connect.
For those that aren't science teachers, what's that mean?
Well, the river has, meandered in such a way that it makes like a horseshoe shape, and the ends of the horseshoe are very close together. And it's been a while since I've done that float, but I want to say you don't walk more than 200 yards. So you hop in the water, do this very large float. You observed it was too cold while we were there to attempt such a thing, especially with 3 very dramatic young ladies on our hands. That would not have been fun for anybody. But we definitely need to do that float when it's warmer. But yeah, you hop in, you do a very long, fairly long float. No rapids or anything, so it's not super fast moving.
It's definitely a float.
Yeah, it's like a lazy river kind of situation, but in real life. And so you do this long float.
It's a lazy river where you have to walk 200 yards.
Yeah, so
to get back to the river.
Walk across, and then you can hop in again and repeat. And so it's just a lovely place. And then next to it, there's some bougie resorts. It's definitely like Heavenly Village, Lake Tahoe vibes.
Oh,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
That's what I felt.
Expensive real estate. The village at Sun River is very much like just copy and paste Heavenly Village and put it right there. There's not a ski lift right there, but nearby is Mount Bachelor, which I was reading is the 6th largest ski area in the U.S., apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's pretty legit. Like if you live in Oregon and you go skiing, apparently you go to Mount Bachelor. That's the place to go. And so, yeah, it's just, so we took the kids there. We walked around. On the way up, because, you need some road trip entertainment, we decided to listen to the audiobook of Ready Player One, which if you've not listened to that book and you have a road trip coming up,
or have some free time to read it.
Yeah. Or that too. And you've exhausted all episodes of the Snail Trail podcast and you need something different to listen to, I suggest listening to that. And so it's just 80s reference after 80s reference. It's very different from the movie, and I've only ever seen the movie. So it's really fun to listen to that. and all the 80s video game references. And so we go to this little Heavenly Village type place, and we're walking around like, oh, you know, what can we do? You know, we got 3 little kids with us. Let's have some fun. And they had an arcade, and apparently it wasn't there last time the family that we were visiting had been there. And it was cool. It was like a vintage arcade. You walk in, no tokens. You pay by the time unit.
Yeah.
And so like a half an hour was $6, an hour was $10
per person.
Yeah, per person. And then it went up from there. And we're like, well, sweet. Let's just do a half an hour. And that half an hour went by real fast.
It did.
And we had fun. We played a lot of the games that we were listening to in the book. There's Joust and Pac-Man, Frogger, and just, you know, all the games of your youth.
Street Fighter. There was a Burger Build. There was Burger Time.
Yeah, there was the Simpsons game.
Yeah, the Simpsons game, NBA Jam. There was all kinds of games.
All kinds of stuff.
It was cool
Donkey
that you
Kong.
didn't have to deal with coins.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to stay a half an hour. I'm going to play as many games as I can.
Yeah.
I got high scores in Joust, Androids, and Asteroids. And I didn't get it in the Space Invaders, but I was trying.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure they reset the high scores every day.
They obviously do. Thanks for shooting me down,
though. But yeah, that was really fun. They had some bounce house stuff there for kids. They had mini golf. They had
bumper cars.
Yeah, they had bumper cars. Crappy little train for toddlers. They had Sun River Brewery, which we had lunch at, and did a little beer tasting. Mm-hmm. That was delicious.
And got some barrel-aged beverages.
That was fantastic.
Barrel-aged beers, different varieties.
We still have 2 that we haven't tried. The one we did crack open later that day was fantastic. A lot of those barrel-aged beer things, they're like, I don't know, too much barrel, as a friend's husband said. But that one was not too much barrel. That was just the right amount.
Yeah, that one was
very
great.
Smooth and delicious. So we did that kind of stuff with the kids. And then we rented some bikes.
Yep.
And the family took us out on a bike ride that they were familiar with. And it makes a big old loop.
All in all, it was about 5 miles.
Yeah, at least.
Well, yeah, it was around 5 miles.
Yeah. And then plus start to finish the little parts we did. But we did like 7 or 8 miles total on these bikes.
What about the oldest mini-me of their family on the little no-brake bike?
Holy smokes. So we go to rent bikes, and it's like, okay, we got the 8-year-old. She has a 1-speed bike with a pedal brake.
She has pedal brakes and hand brakes.
Yeah, she never uses
But she never uses... Well, she doesn't use either of them. But she uses her pedal brakes more.
Yeah.
And when we were renting the bikes, they had 2 pedal brake bikes, and they were both too small.
They were small. Yeah, they were like more for like a 5 or 6-year-old. They were small pedal bikes. That she used to have one like that.
Yep.
And we sold it and got her a larger one. Because that's what size she is. And then the next ones up they had were even bigger, and they were only hand brakes. They were more like things you'd have for like a 10-year-old, like a 10-year-old's first 10-speed kind of thing. And I was like, yeah, I don't want homegirl's first time with a hand brakes only bike to be right now. That breaks the rule of no hospital for sure. Yeah. So we had to stick her on one of those little tag-along bikes that kind of attach to the big bike, and it has handlebars that don't do anything. And pedals.
Yeah. And I could tell when she was pedaling, she was pedaling. Mm-hmm. It really helps.
We have one at home, and we used to use it a lot, and she'd be on the back of my bike. And yeah, so Jimmy hasn't really experienced that much. And she's a lot larger now. Normally she has her own bike, but yeah, that wasn't happening. And then the 5-year-old, they kind of crammed her in one of those little trailers that you pull behind. And then the 7-year-old didn't want to be in a trailer. And so
she knew how to ride a bike.
And so they gave her the pedal bike that was just comically too small for our kid.
For mini assistant.
And holy smokes, that girl went 8 miles. She would not, because like our kid was ready to swap out with her, and take turns, even though it was way too small, like to give her a break. But she was like stubbornly like, no. And her feet were moving twice as fast as ours, just like.
Well, what about the corner when she rode up the wall?
Oh my gosh. She was like giving me gray hairs, and she's not even my kid because she's at that point where she hasn't practiced using her brakes enough, her kick brake or pedal brake, whatever you want to call it. And so she would just hit a corner or something and try to like put her feet down, and that doesn't work when you're going fast. And like she went shooting up the side of a hill.
She went up this berm
and then like started falling down the berm, but then just put her foot out and caught herself. Like no big deal. I mean, she almost crashed like so many times. She'd get distracted and look at something and just like go off the trail, and I'm just back there going, shit.
Yeah, there was a few times that she would like look off at something and then all of a sudden try to correct herself and overcorrect and just veer really quickly back and forth. And I was like,
I have to take a drink just
one of
thinking
these,
about it.
One of these times she's going to hit somebody. And she did.
Yeah, I didn't witness it.
She hit her mom.
She hit her mom. We had kind of veered apart. Our groups had kind of veered apart from each other for a second. And Jimmy saw it go down.
Yeah, she like was looking at something, and then we're like, car. There's like, and we're in a parking lot, and a car was coming slowly around this corner, and we were riding towards the bike trail that leads out of the parking lot. But she was sort of in the middle of the road, and we just wanted her to get over, and so we were like, car's coming, and she straight up like turned right into her mom's back tire and knocked herself right on the ground and scuffed her hand a little bit, scuffed her knee a little bit. But her mom was straight up like, you're fine. Get back on the bike. We're finishing this. It was great.
Yeah,
it was perfect.
No one can carry you and the bike home on bikes. So
no. And I already had somebody in a trailer.
Yeah.
I guess in theory we could have thrown the mini assistant on that bike, and we could have put the damaged kid in the trailer that I was riding, or I was pulling along. But
no,
that wasn't how it went down.
We were separated. I
had the mini assistant in the trailer at that point.
Yeah. We ended up doing a bike swap at some point.
After another brewery.
We went to, they have a resort there, and so we stopped at the clubhousey kind of thing of the resort, and we had a beer. They had a nice selection of beers on tap.
Yeah.
And so after the main like big loop of our ride, which is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, what a gorgeous place. We definitely have plans to go back.
Too. It was a little warm.
Oh, yeah. Well, they were all, they're from the Washington, Oregon border. They live in the Columbia River Gorge. And so, it's like 78, and we're like, damn, this is fantastic. Yeah. And they're like, fanning themselves and sweating.
Yeah.
Like, this is so warm.
It's like 95 at our normal, like where we live.
Yeah.
We're like, oh my gosh, this is great.
Oh yeah. And just a beautiful spot, and definitely want to do the float. We rode up to the river and saw where part of the float goes past, and kind of rode along that for a while. And then, I was impressed because in my memory, it was a long time ago when I did that float, but it's a decent float that you get for your small amount of walking that you do.
It looks fun.
Yeah. So we definitely want to do that. And then we got some ice cream, hit the store, went home,
cooked dinner,
fed the people.
Sat by a fire for a little while.
Sat by the fire for a little while.
Went to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing fancy. The next morning, we kind of had to divide and conquer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I was going to go to Overland Expo PNW, and you were going to stay another night at the uncle's house.
Yeah, with my friends.
And the kiddo. So, also, I was taking the vehicle.
Yeah.
And you were relying on your friend to shuttle you up to where I was.
Yeah. So we had to try to figure out who was taking what, and just some logistic stuff. So we had to kind of pack-ish.
Half pack. Kind of, yeah. Everything that I kind of needed and wanted to some extent, I took with me, plus some.
Yeah, I was like, whatever you can take now, let's send with you.
Yeah, so like the mini assistant's bed, we packed.
Yeah.
Because then you slept with the mini assistant.
Oh, such a treat, let me tell you.
She throws punches and kicks.
She does, and will crowd you to the edge of the bed, as all children are just excellent at doing.
But anything that like we could spare, I took.
Yeah.
And then you kind of just had some bare necessities.
Yeah, bare necessities. And Jimmy took the fridge and whatever he could take with him. Mm-hmm. And then before we parted ways, though, together, we headed to Crux Brewing in Bend. It's a very popular spot.
It was a great spot.
Yeah. Excellent beer selection. Just a cool spot in general. They had a huge lawn with a lot of lawn games, tons of picnic tables.
Yeah. 4 places to eat.
Yeah, they had like 4 little food trucks. One of them they owned.
Crux, they had a restaurant inside.
Yeah, with a lot of like pub fare kind of stuff.
Yeah. They had Crux Pizza outside.
Little wood-fired pizza.
They had like a Mediterranean place.
Yeah, it was the Hub or something like that.
And then they had a taco shop.
Yeah, and all of it just, all 4 had...
It's like food trucks, but it's permanently there.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah, lots of...
And a shaved ice place.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, shaved ice and acai bowls. So lots of offerings, lots of interesting things. It was hard to even decide on what one thing you're going to eat because all of them had something that I wanted.
Yeah. We ended up waiting. We got beers and then we ended up waiting. You and I got flights.
Yeah.
We got 4. They did flights, 4 beers. So you and I each got a flight, different beers. So we had 8 tastings. While we were doing that, we were waiting for the pizza place to open, which took forever and a day.
Yeah. Apparently they're so popular. Like they kind of give 0 Fs about, yeah, we'll open it whenever, kind of thing. We got like 3 different answers on when they were going to open it.
If Crux, if you're listening to this, you need to regulate on that.
Yeah.
Because it was very annoying to have somebody go like, the website says a time, the restaurant said a time.
Yeah, this guy says a time.
Some person actually working that thing said 3 times. They're like, we'll open in 10, 20, maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, in the same sentence. It was like, okay. And then as soon as we gave up on the pizza and ordered something else, then we saw that the pizza place was open.
Yeah, literally. We went into the restaurant in the business.
Yeah.
Ordered food for the kiddos.
Yeah.
And as we were walking up, they were taking orders at pizza.
Yeah. So we just kept the other order anyways, and we ended up eating all the food. So it was fine. But yeah, they
also,
had
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, they just had like yummy beers and then Jimmy told all the fellas.
Yeah, we had Alex from Wagon Tech, his friend Boz. Don't
ask me to remember.
Yeah, I think
names.
it was Boz. It was something like Boz. And Lee from Cruising to Camp. They were caravanning up there, and I told them that I knew they were going to be in the area semi-soon because we were talking. They actually camped at Castle Crags. Ironically, the night before with no knowledge that we were there a few days prior. And so I told them we were going to be at Crux. They stopped by. They had a few beers, and then Alex and Boz took off. And then Lee and I took off shortly after that, and we went to Expo and started setting up booths. So for me, I then was separated from the family, and a lot of my time, I had to check in for media, and then I had a special media area / vendor area that I was allowed to camp in. And I walked in, well, when I drove in, I saw Tyler. Or like almost immediately. He was like right in one of the first parking spots. So he beat us. And I was like, dude, if I knew you were already here, I would have told you we were having lunch and drinking beer in Bend. And he was like, oh, well, I'm here and I'm setting up camp. And so he set up his trailer in his booth space. And then I went in to help Lee set up his space. And then I kind of walked around to see who was nearby and saw a bunch of friendly booths friends that I know, but nobody was really there.
Was it even open to the public on Thursday? Okay, that was just like setup day.
Yeah, it was setup day. And I mean, as a media person, actually now in hindsight, it would actually be really good to get there that day. And then because there's no people, no customers, no potential customers distracting people. You can just walk around and look at stuff and get people while they're not so. Yeah, there's a lot of stress of getting your booth set up on time, but once your booth's set up on time,
then you're just chilling.
Then you're chilling. So like I went and saw a Power Tank, but nobody was at the Power Tank booth. But if I would have got there early and saw that Power Tank was there, then I probably could have talked to him. Like said, hey, when you're done doing your booth, I would like to say hi to you, or maybe interview you or something. And there was a lot of potential for podcast interviews going on. Whereas during the event and like at the end of the event, everybody's tired. Yeah. It was hot and people were tired. People didn't really want to do interviews. Whereas the day before, they didn't have the stress of
because once you've talked about your product all day long to like 500 strangers, you're not. Yeah, that's the last thing you want to talk about. Yeah, and you're tired. I get that.
So that evening, Tyler, Lee, and Dakota, who's from Delta, one of the lead fabricators at Delta, we were going to go out to dinner, and we went to this first spot. I think it was like Thai food, and the guy's like, yeah, we close in like 10 minutes. I can do takeout. And we're like, no, never mind. So then we found this rooftop bar that served food, and when we were going to that bar, we were walking down the road, and we saw Stellar Built's truck. So I called Dimitri, and I was like, where are you at? And he's like, I'm up in Oregon. And I was like, are you in Richmond? He's like, no, I'm in Redmond. We're at the PNW Expo. And I kept leading him on. And then eventually he's like, what are you doing, bro? And I was like, oh, I'm just fucking with you. I'm right here. I'm standing literally at your truck. And he like looks out of his hotel window. He's like, I see you. And so we waved at each other. The rooftop bar that we had planned to go to was the same hotel that he was in. And so we went up to the rooftop bar. We met up with him and Rob, who were out at Cruise Moab with us, and we got a drink, and the food menu was it was good, but it wasn't what we were interested in. And then, so we had a drink, and then we went to this Mexican restaurant, and we ordered all kinds of food, but there was a burrito on the menu for like $47. It was ridiculous. It had like scallops, shrimps, seafood, tunas.
You didn't get it.
I didn't get it.
Okay.
No, I got the carnitas plate. Yeah, and a margarita on the rocks. It was great food. Fantastic Mexican restaurant downtown Redmond. I highly recommend. 2 thumbs up. Go get it. And then we got back. I don't know, like 11 o'clock.
I don't know. I wasn't there.
I know. And I didn't set my rooftop tent yet up or anything, so I do apologize to the people that were around me. I did open and close the doors on my truck a few times, popped the rooftop tent up, I had a sleeping bag, pulled the sleeping bag out, and threw it all together and slept in the rooftop tent.
I'm sure you weren't the only one, because that is the drawback of a rooftop tent.
No, but I apologize for
being noisy,
making noise at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
If you're around me. And you were a vendor that had to
work
in the
the next day. Yeah.
Yeah. Where Tyler slept in his trailer, Lee slept in his Land Cruiser. So they were all headed back in. So they dropped me off, and then I just went out to my truck, made bed, and went to sleep. How did your night go? In a nutshell.
It was the kids were cranky at the brewery, even though there was lots of things to play. After you left, we played some cornhole and got the kids involved and had fun with that. Yeah. We gave them some shave ice. They were happy about that. And then we took them to downtown Bend, and we drove around. There's like a whitewater park there.
Oh, cool.
Like an artificial thing that they've built. Cause the river, the Deschutes River runs through there, and you can do, a nice float, or you can go through this kind of artificial whitewater thing that they built. And there's like a standing wave, and people show up with their kayaks and, or surfboards and, play around there. There's an outdoor amphitheater. There was a concert like warming up that we heard. There's a lot of things going on in downtown Bend. I definitely want to go back, but the kids needed to be kids. So we went to a park that was right on the waterfront, and we let them play. There's like some paths and a bridge and stuff. We went and looked at the water, saw a river otter, and then basically took the kids home. We barbecued and did some dinner and put the kids to bed. And then my friend and I got to hang out, and we'd bought wine a couple days before and hadn't really drank it. So it's like, okay, well, we have to, wine doesn't keep, right? We better drink it all. So
wine never keeps.
Yeah, we definitely stayed up till midnight and finished all the wine. But again, it was good because I hadn't seen her in a really long time. So
yeah, I'm really happy you guys got some quality time to hang out. That was a positive point of this whole trip.
And then it was up the next morning, breakdown camp, realized there's no way we can fit, 5 people in a Honda Pilot and 2 families worth of camping gear.
Yeah.
That wasn't happening.
Well, 1 family worth of camping gear and like
1.5
of a family.
families worth of camping gear. So ended up leaving most of the camping gear at the uncle's house, which we almost
Our
forgot
camping
to.
gear.
We almost forgot to pick up today
We
on the way
almost
home.
did, yeah.
That was fun. That was a good realization at the last minute. Like, oh shit, the tent, the air mattress, the bedding, the pump, all the things. And then my friends dropped me off at a hotel across from the event because I wasn't sure what the camp situation was like. So kind of plan B, grabbed a hotel room and just was like, oh, we're in the parking lot of the hotel, for a little meetup and drop off situation. Let me go in and check and see if we can do early check-in. And I go in there and the lady had no record of my reservation.
Nope, not at all.
And then I checked my email and realized I made the reservation for a week into the future. So luckily, she still had a room, even though they were completely sold out the night before, and gave it for the same price.
I think that one person that checked out while we were there.
Yeah, that was the room we took. I swear. Camping would have been fine, but I'm glad we had the spot.
Camping would have been fine, but we didn't have the bedding.
We abandoned all the stuff at the uncle's house, so then it was like,
I had a sleeping bag for me. Right, but I didn't have enough stuff for you or the mini assistant.
It would have been kind of sucky. So it was nice. Especially after Friday walking around the show, which we'll talk about in a minute. But after that, hot and sweaty, it was nice to go back to the hotel, take the kid to the pool and let her splash around with her unending supply of energy that she pulls out of nowhere, while I was like nodding off in the hot tub. And then it was nice to have like a shower, and that wasn't a camp shower.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll talk about my experience at Overland Expo and Tyler's experience at Overland Expo, probably on the next podcast.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
So let's jump into your experience. This is your first Overland Expo that you've been to. I personally think that this was on par or maybe slightly less than Overland Expo West, but I felt like it was more condensed. Like, I think Overland Expo West is more spread out.
Okay.
So I think this one was so compact.
Yeah, everyone was on top of each other.
It felt bigger. I don't know if it was bigger or even on par, but it felt bigger because everybody was on top of each other. So what's your first impressions? What did you think of Overland Expo PNW?
It's like the state fair of overlanding, I guess.
Yeah, okay. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, just booth after booth after booth. They had like a food court kind of area, pavilion kind of area. I mean, we definitely did not see it all in the time that we were there.
Mm-mm. We really only had like a day.
Yeah. And by the end of the day, it was getting hot, and I drank a lot of wine the night before.
Well, you guys showed up a few hours late, and you left a few hours early.
Yeah.
Or an hour
compared to when you were there. But I think we got into the event, like 10:30, something like that?
Yeah, and you left about 4?
Yeah.
And it closed at 5?
Yeah. I mean, so we did a chunk of time there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. It was fun, truck talk. So we're walking around with Jimmy, and he's constantly getting into some truck talk. And so me and the kid were just running around, and I was just kind of letting her lead the way and follow her little interests and things.
Yeah, and I think we'll have her
we're
on
gonna
in a little
interview
bit.
Her. Yeah,
in the morning.
Yeah,
time travel for you guys.
Yeah,
we'll interview her and get her experience. But really, you were following her around.
Yeah,
we kind of let her lead the show to some extent
for my sanity also. But there was a lot of really fun things to see. Just follow all your rich people camping fantasies, I guess. There was a lot of money on display.
There's
at this thing.
Money there.
A lot of money on display. What are those things? Earth
roamers.
Earth roamers.
Yeah.
Oh,
like $600, $800.
Yeah.
$1,000.
Things that people doing like polar bear exhibitions need, but other people apparently buy for.
I guess.
I don't know.
Not us.
Yeah, not us. Holy smokes. But there was a big variety of things. Those little fold-up fire pits I thought were cool.
Yeah.
They folded down flat.
And you like the hammock, geodesic dome hammock.
The geodesic dome. Yeah, I don't think you'd have to worry about that thing blowing over and getting messed up like an
easy up.
An easy up.
No, it'd probably just continue to roll.
It would just keep rolling, and you'd be like, no.
Yeah.
But those were cool. Definitely plunked down in the hammock with the mini assistant, and she pretended to pass out. And yeah, those guys were fun.
Those guys were fun.
Yeah, SoCal
Southern
people.
California.
Yeah, what was the name
chill.
of their company? Because I'll give them a plug. I mean, it's a really neat product. I have no idea what it costs.
You have it?
iDome Shelters. Letter
Yeah.
iDome Shelters. Yeah, I got my little show notes here.
Yeah, they were running around Overland Expo PNW. It was a warm day, but they had like Hawaiian button downs that were undone.
Yeah,
You know,
they were
jorts.
SoCal surfer dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
were
were
so
having a
nice.
good time.
Yeah,
He pulled out a bucket of water and like a Ryobi fan with
misters.
with a mister set up in
set
it.
him up. Yeah.
So you're laying in his hammock underneath his awning of the geodesic dome, and they're misting you, and it was a hot day.
And I feel like they must come stock with the hammocks. I kind of thought at first they were just doing the hammocks to show how strong this thing was, because you could definitely not.
Their pictures show hammocks.
Yeah,
but
every single one of
I
their.
really don't think it does. I think it just is the geodesic dome.
And just to kind of, and they also had like a tent version too. Like you could get the geodesic dome easy up thing.
Yeah,
and then it
has walls.
It has
so you
walls,
can turn
and it
into
had a
tent.
floor too. So it had like a little skirt you put on it.
Yeah,
basically. But yeah,
That
it
was
was it was cool, and those guys were super nice. And you definitely could not hang some hammocks from your easy up.
No,
and live to tell
well,
the
and
tale.
that's the benefit of the geodesic dome because of the triangles. It's super strong, so all the weight's getting put down into multiple areas. Where like a easy up, you only have those 4.
Yeah,
which you just literally break it apart. So
yeah, so that was really neat. That was a fun little.
You
spot
think we
for
should
me.
get one of those?
If we had unlimited budget, yeah.
Of course we
they
do.
were really cool.
We got YouTube money, babe.
Oh yeah, yeah, YouTube and podcast money. In a perfect world, that's on my fantasy shopping list.
Okay.
Is the iDome shelter. That was a fun one for me.
So what was some of the shocking realizations that the event brought that you didn't expect?
People are trying to like quote unquote overland and like pretend like it's overland, but these were some very fancy trailers that were just small versions of like the big obnoxious, like, I don't know how big trailers are, 40 foot, 30 foot.
There was all different sizes.
There was different sizes, but these were the quote unquote overland models that just had like one axle.
Yeah.
All of them were one axle.
With like bigger tires.
With bigger tires. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ember was the fanciest one, the mini assistant. I'm sure we'll talk about that one. That one had the nicest trailer bathroom I've ever seen in my life, especially considering this was a much smaller trailer with one axle. It was the nicest trailer bathroom I've ever seen for that.
Yeah. That was the nicest trailer bathroom I've ever seen, period.
Even
Yeah.
in a big fancy trailer. Like,
it had its own dedicated shower.
yeah. And it was a nice, decent sized shower. I was very impressed with that.
Not the type of shower that shoots into the toilet.
No, it's not a straddle the toilet and take a quote unquote shower. Like, it had a stall and everything, and it had a toilet, and it had a vanity that you didn't have to sit on the toilet to access either. Like, it was a really big, considering the size of the trailer, it was a really nice bathroom. So if you're someone who's looking for a trailer with a small trailer with a very nice bathroom, I suggest the Ember. It was funny what people, I don't know, like for me, for camping, you kind of want to rough it a little bit. That's kind of the point. There were some very bougie situations.
Very.
I liked some of the van life stuff that was going on. Some of the van builds were a lot of fun.
The Sprinter van style stuff.
Yeah, the Sprinter van style stuff. Yeah, not the VW
VWs.
kind, but I
Not
still
like
call
our
it
hippie friends.
Yeah, I still call it van life because these are people that like
The
go
vans.
Yeah, and I feel like if you're gonna live in a van for a year, you're gonna go on a very extended road trip, like you would want something like that because it'd be annoying to set up and break down all the time.
I feel that, in my opinion, full-size vehicles, like, you know, big Fords, big Chevys, big Rams, Sprinter vans were sort of the highlight or the items that were most seen at Overland Expo.
Yeah, a lot of big rigs and big
it's
trailers.
No longer small vehicles, Colorados, Tacomas, Jeeps. It's not like easy, small, maneuverable vehicles. It's way bigger.
That is the kind of thing. It's like, well, that's not really overlanding if you have to take a big ass vehicle through
Well,
it.
you just can't go where the small place.
Yeah.
In the small places.
Yeah.
A lot of it seems in my some of the things that I've been seeing are like, let's get this big vehicle that it can tow a smaller vehicle and drive out into the wilderness, make a base camp so that the small vehicle can go out and play.
Yeah. Which is not overlanding.
Not
right?
really.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like a base camp scenario.
All right. But my favorite thing that I saw, the thing that I would actually want, I'm sure it's
Was
not.
it what we got from Iron Man 4x4?
No, but we can talk about that for a second.
All right.
So this was a necessary piece of camping equipment that
We've been looking at for a while.
we've been looking at for a while. We put one on our wedding registry. No one bought it for us. I think a lot of people laughed at it.
Maybe. Chris Miller, during the interview with Iron Man 4x4, said it was his favorite item that they make.
Yeah.
What was it?
It's a camp toilet
Yes.
that can hold a 440 pound ass. So
Donkey? Lorenzo.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
gonna it can hold Lorenzo.
Even Lorenzo could use this toilet. It was galvanized steel. It folds down super flat. It has a travel bag and it sets up really fast. We flipped it out.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, Lee wanted to
Lee
see
did
it. Yeah, we flipped it out. It came with some biodegradable bags.
Yeah.
So the idea was that you tie them off and you dig a hole and you leave it there. And then I also want to know, like, hey, does it fit like a wag bag kind of style situation? He said, yeah. And so me and Lee tried that out, and yes, it does. Very strong.
You guys both
sturdy.
tried the same wag bag?
No, he busted out one of his wag bags and made sure it fit.
Oh, so neither
Yeah.
one of you actually tested it.
No.
Okay.
No, we did not poop or pee in the middle of the expo. But we definitely, I don't know if people saw us comparing his toilet to my toilet.
I'm sure they did.
And just standing there and looking at him.
When I was first talking to Iron Man 4x4, they told me that I was more than welcome to sample the toilet, but they weren't going to give me the privacy. And I had a blast meeting up with Iron Man 4x4. Everybody there was so awesome. It was fun to meet up with the crew that, you know, I've been talking to for a little while, and everybody was jovial and welcoming. And we got to meet Cody from Trail Chasers again, he's always a blast. And, you know, we've talked about him and met him in person a few times, so it's always good to see that guy.
Fun and friendly group of people,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yeah.
And fun vibes. So if, like, even if you have, you know, you're like, oh, the family does not want to go out to this thing. I disagree. Like, maybe the family does. It's kind of a hefty, well, kids are free. 15 and under is free. So if you have little kids, like, I would not worry about going to a, Overland Expo event at all. And even though it's not like, there's not like a bounce house area, it's not geared for kids, but there's definitely enough interesting things to look at. It kept our kid entertained.
Yeah, so you would say it's a kid-friendly or a family-friendly event?
Family-friendly, yeah. Family-friendly for sure.
And we didn't do
fun.
a lot. Like, we only went to the vendor area because there's a whole off-roading, like, teaching side of things. When we sat down and had lunch, they were doing seminars, but they do in-person live seminars. There's so much more that goes on than what we even scratched the surface on.
We put in a solid 5 hours. And there was still more to see and do, for sure.
We made it through half the vendors.
Yeah, maybe.
Because there was a whole motorcycle area that we didn't go into.
Yeah, didn't even just kind of cruise by. I did want to check out the Bronco experience, but we didn't have time.
Nope.
Yes,
there's a whole, even there was a whole Honda, like there was a car show for dealerships there that we didn't even go to.
Yeah, didn't
like
see that.
There was Honda, Toyota, Mercedes, there was Hyundai, and all these other ones that we didn't even go into.
There were some companies coming out with some huge displays. Like the tire companies had like semis there, and there was a lot of money on display.
Definitely.
Like I said. So my favorite product was called the something moth, tiger moth. The tiger moth.
I was like, if you don't remember,
yeah,
we're in trouble.
hard because like there's not. It's a company from Texas, so apparently there's an insect.
I don't
called
know what the company
moth.
name of
it
that
up right
is.
now. It was like AXA or Ax something.
We have the. Is it on that sticker
it's
right in
not
front
on
of you?
The sticker. It's so tiny I can't.
They
read
make trailers, and
Yeah,
one
they
of the
make trailers.
trailers.
The mini assistant has her favorite, and I will let her talk about that. on. Trailer. Okay. Taxa Outdoors. Taxa.
Okay.
Taxa.
Taxa.
Yeah. So they have a very unusual looking, cool looking trailer called the Cricket, and that caught the mini assistant's eye, and I will let her talk about that when we interview her. But then I was talking to the reps there, and they have like
They had 3 versions.
They had 3 versions on display. They may have more than that, but they had 3 that they brought to the event and had set up and stuff like that. And so I was talking to the guy, and it was actually a guy that worked for NASA, and he had
owner.
Yeah, the owner had 2 kids, and he had a Subaru Outback, and he's like, I want a trailer that I can tow with my Subaru Outback and fit 4 of us in and not want to murder each other. That was not their words, but this is my imagination of what that is. And so he designed this really unusual looking trailer with a lot going on inside of it. And we'll talk about that one more, but they also had one called the
Tiger Moth.
Tiger Moth. Yeah, I keep forgetting the name of it. But it was really cool because there's a lot of those like kind of off-roading, overlanding trailers that are just like, like storage underneath your rooftop tent, basically on one axle.
A teardrop.
Yeah. But not even a teardrop, because a lot of them are like you don't even sleep inside. They're just like the trailer you tow behind. You have storage, you stick your rooftop tent on top. This one was kind of a little bit more than that, because it was kind of like a very small teardrop trailer where there's room for like a mattress inside kind of thing. And it's got the pull out, slide out drawers, little pop out kitchen kind of thing out the back.
Yeah.
It had a built-in awning on it, which was nice. And then you could put your rooftop tent on top. And the inside part where the mattress went, it was kind of modular. You know, you could pull a piece of it out and you could slide the backs up and make a little kind of L-shaped couch. And it had a little tiny table that you could click in.
So the inside wasn't just a bed.
Not just a bed. And that's what I liked about it. You could convert it. It could be a bed for the mini assistant, and you and I could sleep up top in the rooftop tent. If weather was bad, it's nice to have that, because sometimes you get rained out and then you're just sitting in a tent, which is not fun.
Right.
So it'd be nice to have like that awning and that little area. And, the back of the trailer opened up and the side opened up too, with kind of a DeLorean style door. So you got like
I'm
little,
so proud you know that.
you got a little built-in, shade structure there and some airflow. And if the weather was not great, that would be a nice place to sit and, have some drinks and have some food and play some cards and not go insane, while you're waiting for the weather to clear up or whatever.
You think we should get one of those?
I would love one of those. I have no idea what they cost. I'm sure they're not super cheap, but that's like the size of thing I want, because it was also low tech. It didn't have any electrical. It didn't have any plumbing. And I kind of appreciate that, because then you're like still quote unquote roughing it. There's also less things to break on it or go wrong on it. And, it would be nice also, because like if you were out wheeling, like you could take the rooftop tent off of it and stick it on your rig, and I could still go camping with the mini assistant, because they are designed, they're very lightweight and you can pull them with anything that has.
Right. You'd be okay with towing a trailer?
That size? I would need a little practice, but yeah, that thing was small and
smaller is harder to reverse.
Oh shit. Okay, I would have to find places that I can only pull into.
because if the trailer axle is closer to your vehicle, then it becomes a little squirrely in reversing.
Yeah, I could definitely
Where
see
if that trailer axle is farther away, it's a lot easier to reverse.
But in a pinch, could I pull that into?
As long as you're going straight, I think you'd be great.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Backing up is my kryptonite. But that was my favorite, because that was kind of my level of like camping and convenience. And it'd be nice to just keep that thing fully stocked and like, oh, it's time to go camping, pull that out. I feel like you could leave it in a driveway and it's not going to like eat your entire driveway, or you could stick it in a side yard or something. And unlike an RV that needs its whole situation,
sure.
Hell, that thing, you could just back it into a garage even.
The Tiger Moth, I think, was low enough that you could pull into a garage.
You could pull it in a garage and not eat your entire garage.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite thing that I saw. I think that and the geodesic dome.
Yeah. The geodesic dome was pretty cool.
Easy up thing. Yeah. That was cool.
So, family friendly. Mm-hmm. Food choices?
One vegetarian. So there was like one thing that really had anything going on that was vegetarian.
But if you weren't vegetarian?
If you weren't vegetarian, they had Philly cheesesteaks. They had giant corn dogs. They had like 2 barbecue things. And then they had the Mexican food truck. And so I gravitated toward the Mexican food truck.
How about bathrooms?
Bathrooms, great. It was at a fairground. They had plenty of bathrooms everywhere. They were well maintained. They had an inside area that was air conditioned. They didn't have anything going on in there, but it was definitely like a first aid if you needed to cool down for a second. And then they had a bathroom in there, kind of zone.
Cleanliness?
Yeah, totally clean. No trash anywhere that I saw.
How about safety?
Oh, totally safe. I walk around by myself. Yeah, well, it's a bunch of people trying to sell shit. So
True.
Never will you find a friendlier group of people, especially when they're selling real expensive trailers and vans and things.
What about
everyone wants to be your friend?
What about the solve function and like Morphlate booths?
No, those were the friendliest ones. And I had fun trying to like quote unquote sub in. Like if one of those guys would wander away and someone would walk over, I'd be like, hi. And then they'd ask me like any kind of question and I'd be like, I don't know.
Yeah. There's a few times that I was at Lee's booth and people were asking questions and I was like, I can kind of answer some of these. And then there was a few times that I was at Tyler's booth and people would come over and I could answer most of those pretty good, those questions pretty good. And I ended up telling Tyler that I think I need a commission, like, because I think I sold some product for him and, I think I deserve a commission.
Can I talk about when I talked to Tyler's competition?
Yes, please. Yeah. So you actually wandered yourself into a booth they're called Thor's Lightning, which is a very odd name for an airing.
Yeah. Because at first I thought it was a lighting company.
Yeah.
But I guess they're like, quote unquote, lightning fast.
I don't know.
But Jimmy was talking to somebody in the booth next to it, and I'm just trying to keep the mini assistant moving and entertained. So, look, it's a 4-tire inflation system. The guy's like, have you heard about our product? I'm like, no, but I'm familiar with the concept.
Yeah.
And he's like, let me tell you what sets it apart from some other ones you might see. So he wasn't, I'll give him that integrity wise. He wasn't like trying to throw Morphlate or
another company
directly under the bus. But he was like pointing out the features that made his different or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, are you interested or do you have any other questions or whatever? And I was like, oh, well, actually, my husband's partner owns Morphlate and my husband's helped to manufacture Minio Morphlate. So
and then what did he say?
He's like, all right, well, I hope I've answered all your questions and have a nice day. Like,
yeah,
he knew he wasn't gonna sell me on one.
Nope.
At that point.
No,
so.
he was done and probably done giving his corporate secrets out.
Yeah.
Which wasn't a whole lot. I asked.
Girthier hoses
and a standard gauge on it. Which just means it costs more.
Just means it costs more out of the gate because it has
I ran into some guys a little later that were toting around some of their product, and I said, why'd you get that one over some of the competition?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we wanted to support small business. I'm like, I don't think you understand how small business works, buddy. But yeah, so that was kind of funny, which was the same sort of thing when Snail Armor came out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you need to support this other company. They're a small business. I'm like, I'm a business of one.
Yeah, man. I don't think you get any smaller than a one-person business.
That one has employees. I'm a business of one. So, yeah, anyway, so 2 thumbs up. Would go again?
Yeah, would go again. As a matter of fact, we're hoping to go next year and do the float, do the Sun River float, maybe hit a different brewery in Bend, go to the expo.
Yeah, we didn't even go to Deschutes.
I know. We didn't have, I know.
Which is like the stereotypical going to Bend, go to a brewery.
Well, I feel like you can go to the grocery store and get Deschutes. Sure. So it was kind of neat to try something different.
But they probably have different beers that aren't available at the grocery store.
Do. Yes, I'm sure they do.
But it was fun to go somewhere different.
Yeah.
We went to Sun River Brewing. We went to a bar that served a bunch of
a bunch
beers.
Of local stuff.
And then we went to Crux.
Yeah.
CRUX.
Yeah, CRUX. Their fire pit was cool too.
Their fire pit was cool.
It looked like they had the letters CRUX and their logo, which looks like arrows crossing each other.
Yeah, north, south, east, west.
Yeah, like a compass rose. And they were just literally piled in this giant fire pit.
Yeah, and
like
a letter was probably a yard long.
No, not a yard, but at least 2 feet.
Yeah,
24
inch
letters.
24
I would
to
say.
36 inches height, or like lengthwise, maybe a foot tall.
Maybe like 6 inches tall. Yeah, measurements,
geez.
you know.
Yeah, lady measurements. Everything's
exactly.
smaller. I'm pretty good with the tape measure.
Yeah. Well, they had a cool fire pit anyways, and cool vibes. And then
it was a good spot.
Yeah, basically we woke up today. We realized we left the toilet that we bought at Tyler's booth. So we were just going to pop in for a minute to go drop off some camping gear to someone that forgot their stuff at home and had a tragic night's sleep.
We'll talk about that probably with Tyler. But yeah, Max Powell. We met up with Max Powell and
gave him some camping gear so he could have a better night's sleep.
Yeah.
And then picked up our toilet and, then truck talk.
I had to say my goodbyes.
Yeah. Well, I was doing it too because I always like talking to Lee. It's always fun.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and he gave me some plum wine, so that didn't hurt.
You were happy.
Yeah, daughter was scandalized. She's like, Mom, people are going to see you walking around with that. And I'm like, one, no one can read the writing on the side. And if they know what it is, then they already know what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So I was walking around with my refill cardboard container of plum wine.
Yeah.
Finishing off the last, inch and a half or something.
Yeah. And then we pretty much bombed home.
Yeah, bombed home. Just lunch in Klamath Falls and continued on home. We made good time.
That place was good.
That place was good.
What was it called?
Deli Station?
Deli Station.
Deli Station in Klamath Falls. We stumbled upon it at a weird time because they were closing for a random private event for like 2 hours and opening back up again. So the guy was like, all right, order something quick. But the guy was really friendly and I picked it originally because they had a wide variety of food. Sandwiches, pasta, little personal pizzas.
Yeah.
Hot sandwiches, salads.
Yeah, pretty much everything that needed to be cooked, they couldn't make for us.
Yeah, because of the private party.
I got a buffalo chicken wrap. Outstanding. Your salad looked good.
Yeah, I had like a berry salad with feta and pecans and a shit ton of fresh berries on that thing.
Yeah. And then the mini assistant had Alfredo pasta,
little kids
which
pasta.
she ate, but you also had.
Yeah, I had the tail end of it.
How was it?
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Normal Alfredo pasta.
Yeah. Alfredo's not my favorite.
Okay. But that place was good. And then, I think we stopped one time for gas on the way home after that. And
really made good time.
Yeah.
Avoided getting pulled over in Oregon.
Yeah.
That's a small miracle right there. Yeah, my friend that I met up with, earlier in our early 20s, she actually had her license revoked in the state of Oregon for 1 year. And that's a different story. And when I was driving up to Oregon for her wedding, I was pulled over twice. That was a whole thing too.
So as soon as we went across the border, we went the speed limit.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Pro tip.
Don't
increase your speed until after the sign.
Right.
Just because you can see a speed limit sign doesn't mean you're in that speed limit zone.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Also, and now you made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, Google, because I was running Google Maps as we were driving in. Google Maps did not reflect accuracy. I've had too much of this smoked.
Subtly smoked.
Yeah, Google Maps. The speed limit at the bottom was not a perfect representation of what speed you were in Oregon.
Because I've never had that situation happen in California.
Yeah, there was times when I was driving and it said the speed limit was like 55 and like the sign said 65, and then a little later it said 55, but like it wasn't perfect. So don't just do what Google does. You have to pay attention.
And if you've never been to Oregon as Californian, Don't speed. It's not like California.
Also, during the day, they have people that will fill your gas tank for you.
Yes. Which
I completely forgot about.
Yeah, we went to get gas this morning and Jimmy hops out and the guy's like, oh, okay, you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah. It was funny because he's like, I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm not from here. I didn't know that I forgot that you guys fill it. He's like, it's all good, man. If you know how to do it, you know how to do it. I'm like, are there people that don't know how to do it? He's like, no, everybody knows how to do it because when it becomes nighttime, you need to fill your own gas anyway. I'm like, so what's
I think
the point?
I think it was a law at some point, right?
Yeah.
And they always had to fill it, and then maybe it's not a law, but just by like tradition, like from
They
9 to
still
5, they have a gas jockey guy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Weird. Oregon.
Anyway, what?
Cool thing about Oregon.
Okay.
You can get a CBD shot into your coffee.
Yeah. You did that on the way home
I
after
did.
having the plum wine.
Yes.
Everybody's going to
It's
think
a very
you're a
stress
druggie.
free. Oh, it's just CBD, no THC, but it was a very stress free drive home.
Yeah, good. Yeah. All right, so we're going to have the mini assistant on in the morning.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll reconvene.
Yeah.
It's 11:15 now.
We have to pack for leg 2.
Yeah, so this next week we're headed down to a family reunion and going to be spending a few days down in Carmel. So we'll have the mini assistant on, talk about kids at
kids'
Overland
perspectives.
Expo West. She's a little hesitant, so it might be interesting. We'll see how it goes. And then I'm going to check on the interview I did. I'm concerned that the audio quality might be subpar. So we'll see how that comes out. And that might air or it might not. Anyways, any final words before we take off on this segment?
PNW.
Just a quick little announcement here. I did do a really horrible job actually recording with Power Brake, and I do apologize to them. I messed up my audio, so my audio is coming in really poor, and I have boosted it a little bit, but their audio actually came in really clear. So the best part about that is that the interview for what they're saying is great and fantastic, and my audio is poor, but it does improve near the end of this recording, and we do actually plan on getting these guys on the podcast to go into depth in brakes. So I hope you enjoy. All right, so I'm sitting here today out at Overland Expo PNW, and I'm sitting with Power Brake and DeLon. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
Oh, absolutely. I think our audience is first going to recognize that you have an accent. Where are you from?
So from South Africa. Company was founded 18 years ago by my brother in South Africa. So we're a family business, and Toyota in South Africa is a big part of life. It's the main pickup truck and the main vehicle for overlanding and touring. So we have a strong relationship with Toyota.
Yeah, we are big fans of Toyota as well. And our podcast is primarily based around Toyota, but we do cover a lot of different genres. But one reason I wanted to talk to you is because of what you guys have on the table that's right here, which is just a really interesting concept. Can you explain what this radiator is for and how it applies to brakes?
Yeah, so Toyota Gazoo Racing in South Africa is a big customer of ours, and they build the Dakar Rally program for Toyota, and it's a massive race for Toyota every year. Dakar is one of the toughest races in the world. It's 4,800 miles in 2 weeks, and they had a constraint that they were only allowed to run 16-inch wheels. So the rules have changed slightly, but originally they were just getting really high brake temperatures. And so working with the team, our factory and our engineering guys worked with them, and we actually built a water-cooled caliper. So what happens is out of the billet aluminum, we machine an intricate radiator system on the end of the caliper, and that allows the water to flow through at a certain temperature. So what happens is we have a temperature sensor that goes into the Motec system in the truck. At a certain temperature, it then turns on the pump, and then that radiates through our radiator on the caliper, through an external cooler, and then brings temps down from like 420 Fahrenheit all the way down to about 320 Fahrenheit. So it's all just about managing the heat that's created by brakes. And, brakes, energy creates heat, and that's what we've always trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting concept, and I'm not quite sure if it's going to apply to a normal day rig, but you guys do have a whole plethora, an immense platform that will work with an everyday Tacoma or other platforms out there. This one here is primarily for race applications, right?
Right, but the family is the same. So the great thing about it, something like a Dakar rally, is there's no better test bed. You have such long mileage and such extreme conditions that allows you to test and develop product. So everything we learn in that environment, we then bring back into what we do for a four-wheel drive vehicle and what we do for an overland vehicle. And we don't do anything else. That is all that Power Brake focuses on. We only build four-wheel drive brake systems. So when it comes to your Tacoma or your 4Runner or your Land Cruiser 200 or Tundra, that is exactly the technology that we've developed there. We bring into the overland vehicle, and that allows us to manage the heat, especially for all of us with the additional weight and bigger wheels, all that type of stuff, water tanks, long-range fuel tanks, all the stuff we're adding. It just creates so much more weight, and that just creates more energy for the brake system to deal with.
Right, and so because there's so much more energy, that's creating more heat. So what do you guys do to help reduce the heat on a non-race application?
So what's really cool is we do something almost unique in the sort of Tacoma, 4Runner world, Hilux, etc. We build a 48 curved vane rotor. So it's a 13.7-inch rotor, but the way we tool it in the casting is we have 48 curved vanes. So that works like a centrifugal pump. We want air to push into the center of the rotor and then flow over those vanes to try and bring down temperatures as much as possible. So that's really unique and something that we're very proud of in what we've developed, that we can bring as much air flowing through as possible to bring those temperatures down. What we also do on the rotor is we have temperature measuring paint. So it allows us to know exactly what temperature the brake systems run to, and that way you can make informed decisions around brake pads and all of that type of thing. So it's just bringing the technology into what we do on our everyday overland and four-wheel drive vehicles.
Absolutely. And do you have a bigger caliper as well instead of just the upgrade on the rotor?
Yeah, so what we do is once you've got the rotor, then we have a billet aluminum 6-piston caliper. The reason we do a bigger caliper is we want to do a bigger brake pad, allowing more friction surface area. So the bigger brake pad allows you to just have that area available. If you've ever done your Tacoma or 4Runner brakes, you'll know that pad's pretty small and pretty thin. And so we give you the bigger caliper for that reason. The reason we do it out of billet is that's what all sort of high-level automotive engineering is done. It's always built out of billet. So we manufacture that out of billet aluminum. Inside, we have stainless steel pistons, not aluminum. And why that's important is we want to transfer heat slower towards the brake fluid. So stainless steel will manage heat better. We also have an internal wiper seal protecting your pressure seal. So again, totally focused on four-wheel drive applications. We don't have those terrible boots that sort of burn away with heat and start crumbling. And then when we're all driving off-road, or if you're doing a water crossing or anything like that, then you're going to get all that dust and muck coming in towards the pressure seal. So that's why we've done that. All internally ported. So there's nothing sticking out on the caliper that can be damaged or ripped off. Even the bleeder screws are totally recessed away. So that allows us to just make sure that your caliper is completely protected. We do something for our industry which is really special, is we bolt from the back of the caliper. So we give you as much wheel clearance as possible. So for example, on a Tacoma and 4Runner, it'll fit under any 17-inch wheel. On Tundra and Land Cruiser 200, we need to go to 18s, but it's really, we try and give as much wheel clearance as possible. What we also include in the kit is a braided brake hose. So again, just wanting to give that pedal feel and give that driver feedback, because really brakes are alive. It's like a tire, like suspension. We call it an alive part. So your experience with the brake system is really important in sort of getting that feel and getting that feedback as a driver.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I do think that good pedal understanding and the feel is very important when driving around on a daily or on the off-road. Do you, earlier we were talking about hot spots on the rotors. Can you explain a little bit about the vibration and hot spots?
Yeah, so there's often something in the Toyota world, the Toyota Judder or the Toyota Shudder. The way brake pads work today is they actually lay down a film onto the rotor surface. So the friction takes place on a film, and that's really important because the pads film at different temperatures. So if you run a brake pad above its temperature range, it starts to erratically film. And what you'll see is you'll almost, a pad that's correctly filming, you'll sort of see a blue tinge on the rotor. That's the right color. When you start to see streaky lines on your rotor, that's usually the pad that's irregularly filming and it's not filming correctly. So you've basically run over your temperature range. So that's really important in terms of keeping pads in the correct temperature range. So I think the rotors are often unfairly blamed for the vibration, where actually the pad has run over temperature, it started to film unevenly, and then what happens, it starts to create that hard spot or that high spot. And as you keep braking, that then catches more debris or more brake compound, and that starts to give you that vibration. That then cools and heats at different temperature ranges, which then creates the vibration that you feel on your rotors.
That's it. Really interesting. So it's not necessarily that the rotor might be warped because of heat. The main culprit might just actually be your the brake pad.
Correct. So you've run that brake temperature too hot. You've run over the temperature range of the OEM pad, and that's what's creating the problem. And I always say to people, we have to be fair to the OEM manufacturer. We are doing more with the vehicles than they were originally designed for. So we're putting bigger wheels, we're putting all this weight, the bumpers, the armor underneath, all of that type of stuff. So we really are going over the weight that the vehicle was originally designed for. So I think that's why it's really important to understand what's happening in your brake system and to know that you're managing heat all the time. If you think about it, you create more energy from 60 to 0 than from 0 to 60. But in an engine, you have a whole cooling system that's bringing temperatures down. With brakes, all you have is airflow flowing over the rotors. So that's really important. Just bear in mind when you visualize what your brakes are going through.
So is that what gave you the idea of adding a radiator to the race application?
Yeah, I think they were running such high temperatures on the race trucks that we really had to find a solution. So that was why the radiator came in mind. Now, they obviously have sophisticated electronics. They're building it from the bottom up. It's a space frame truck. It is a Hilux, but it's a space frame Hilux that they've built for the Dakar. And so we had a little more free reign there than we'd have on a normal vehicle.
Excellent. So is there any advice that you might have for somebody that is considering upgrading their brakes? What should they be considering?
Yeah, I think always be cognizant of how much weight's on your vehicle. Also understand bigger wheel and tire packages, they are rotational mass. It takes energy to slow them down. So I don't think brakes should be the last thing in people's mind. I think it should be something that you're always considering. You're adding your family, you're adding a lot of additional weight, the kids, the bicycles, everything goes with. And that's what makes our vacations and our holidays so much fun. It's those memories we create, but our vehicle has to just be up to it. The nice thing with our kit is that it comes completely as a bolt-on solution. Everything is packaged in a left wheel, right wheel. We give you all the fitment instructions, complete torque specifications. It really is a one-stop solution. So I think just bearing in mind what you do to your vehicle and thinking through all the weight that you're adding, that's where brakes become an important discussion.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. How can people get a hold of you or find you guys?
Absolutely. Our website is powerbrakeglobal.com or just hit us up on Instagram. It's powerbrake.official.
Excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
All right, welcome back. Next morning, but seconds for everybody else out there. I have the assistant and the mini assistant at the table. And we're going to probe the mini assistant for questions and answers. She looks a little nervous over there. Do you think she's going to be able to handle this?
I think she can do it.
You do? Okay. So what is something that you thought, assistant first, that the kids enjoyed?
Well, this kid in particular enjoyed all the trailers, right?
Did you liked going to the trailers and seeing a bunch of the different trailers?
Yeah.
Why did you enjoy going and running around and looking at all the different trailers?
Because they were interesting.
Would you rather stay in a tent or would you rather stay in a trailer?
Trailer.
And why is that?
Because tents are dirty.
Okay. And whose fault is that? Who makes the tent dirty?
Jimmy's feet.
Or yours? What do you like about trailers? Because trailers also get dirty, by the way. But what do you like? By the way, have you ever spent the night in a trailer?
No.
Okay, so you've never camped in a trailer, but you say you prefer trailers over tents. So what about trailers makes them so cool in your eyes?
They're fancy and better than camping.
Okay. What were some cool trailers that we saw?
The cricket.
Yes, so her favorite was the Cricket, same company that makes the
Tiger moth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what about the Cricket was so cool in your eyes?
There was little cots hanging down for kids to sleep on.
It had these cool cots that kind of tucked up into the ceiling, and then you could undo like a bungee cord kind of thing and drop it down. And they held 130 pounds and up to 5 feet. So be good for like maybe 12 and under, I would say. Maybe 12 to 4 because you don't want your 3-year-old to roll out of the top there. But maybe, 3 to 12-year-olds would fit up there nicely. What else was cool about that one?
It has a weird shape.
Okay.
It does have a unique shape, and we kind of talked about that last night, and the fact that a guy from NASA invented it, so it's kind of space-like, huh?
And what does the top do on it?
It pops up.
Yeah, so it's a little bit tenty inside. And what else did it have inside besides bunk beds?
A kitchen.
Yep. And a place for what? Something that we got yesterday too, or we got at the show.
Toilet.
Yeah, so it was definitely I mean, I wouldn't call it glamping, but maybe glamping in the off-road world because it did have an indoor kitchen because it popped up. There was enough room to stand up and change inside, which was nice. And then there was a little indoor kitchen area, place for a fridge, stove. It had a sink with a pump and it had a water tank. So that's kind of fancy. And it had a little storage area to put your camp toilet.
That's awesome.
What did one of the trailers have inside of it that you thought was cool?
A hammock.
Yeah, that was in the Truckhouse.
No, it wasn't in the Truckhouse. We were wrong. We went back and looked. It was the Ember. It was the one with the fancy bathroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, one of them had a really nice bathroom. I think we talked on that last night.
Yeah,
too.
we did. So the one with the fancy bathroom also had a hammock, and next to the hammock was what? Where would you sleep in a trailer like that?
Bunk bed.
Yeah, it had some adjustable little cantilever things, and you could move these panels up and down and put bunk beds in or hang a hammock. Actually, they had a hammock hanging there, and the side popped open too, so you could just kind of hang out in your hammock.
That's nice.
Also in your trailer. It was kind of neat.
Yeah.
Would you think your friends would have fun at that show?
No.
Really? Why?
I don't know.
Well, you had fun, right?
Yeah, but I don't know.
What kind of kid would have fun at a show like that?
Me.
You're the only kid in the world that would have fun at a show like that?
Boys.
Why do you say boys?
Because not many girls like trucks.
I don't know. There's a decent amount of girls that like trucks. Were there a lot of trucks on display or a lot of trailers and camping stuff on display?
Camping.
Yeah. So do you have any friends that like camping?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you think your friends that like camping would like to go to that show?
maybe.
Yeah. What did you have for dessert after lunch there?
Different dots.
Was that your favorite part of the day?
No.
Okay, well, what was your favorite part of the day?
Hammock tent.
The hammock tent, the
Geodesic dome.
Yeah, the geodesic dome. It's the eye dome, I think it was called.
The eye dome shelters. Yep. You liked laying in those, pretending you're asleep and getting the mist sprayed all over?
Yeah.
That was a pretty cool thing, for sure.
And the one that was set up more like a tent that had the side walls and the bottom walls on it.
Yeah.
They had that one set up like as a very, very hipster yurt kind of situation. And they had what was in that one?
Chairs, magazines, and it was alcohol.
They had alcohol in there?
Yeah, they did. There was a bottle of tequila sitting in there.
That's funny. So would you like to go back to another event?
Yeah.
And so you can run around and look in more trailers and vans?
Yeah.
And you think that would be fun because you could just see all the main difference between them?
Yeah. I don't understand Jimmy talk.
Well, why did you enjoy going into all the different vans and trailers?
Because they were cool.
Yeah. Is it because they had air conditioning on in the inside?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, would you tell people that they should go check out an Overland Expo?
Yeah.
And there you have it, my friends. Straight from an 8-year-old, the mini assistant advising people to go check out an Overland Expo. Mini assistant, do you have any final words for everybody out there? She's out. Didn't want to give us final words. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode. It was a bit long-winded. The assistant and I, after having some of that whiskey, did talk for a little while, but that was our extent of Overland Expo PNW. We had a great time, as you guys probably heard. Hopefully the mini assistant inspired you to go to one of the next Overland Expos that are out there. They're going all over the country, and I think the next one's in Colorado. I'm not positive, but hopefully I'll see you out there at an event soon. They are a blast. One of the best things about them is you really do get to see a wide range of overlanding and off-roading options for vehicles and different equipment that you can carry with you. And I think it's a good thing to see and have a wide wisdom to do that with. So I do advise people to go out and check out some of these events. It's always a good learning opportunity for you. That said, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and don't forget, keep crawling.
All right. Daffy Duck and Elmer Fudd have fallen on some hard times. So they get together and they're going to do a heist. And they break into a distillery. And Daffy Duck says, "Is this whiskey?" And Elmer Fudd says, "Not as whiskey as robbing a bank." Or something like that.
Isn't it? Yeah, this is whiskey, but not as whiskey as robbing a bank.
It's hard to say.
It is hard to say. That's not bad. Not a bad little joke there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Hopefully someone laughed.
Maybe. Maybe not. We never know.